Have you seen this Zionist psychological operation?
Muhammad was a pedophile! Jesus Christ is king of Dearborn, Michigan!
We don't want you here. Get the fuck out of my country. You guys are outbreeding insidious parasites on the American way of life.
It was an engineered campaign to create chaos, ignite hatred, and divide Muslims and Christians against one another in America. What I'm about to show you is just the opening act in Israel's desperate attempt to salvage its collapsing genocidal ideology of Zionism. Now stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to expose a network of Zionist Jews operating in broad daylight to promote Islamophobia and run divide and conquer destabilization operations across the United States. Last month, paid Zionist operatives descended on Dearborn, Michigan, a city with a well-known Muslim majority, with one very clear mission: to agitate, bait, and provoke conflicts that they could then harvest for clicks and propaganda. They staged a pathetic march and framed it online as a massive anti-Muslim uprising. In reality, however, it was a couple of clowns with cameras. Nearly half of the group that attended were cameramen. This group walked through Dearborn, taunting the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, yelling at Muslims to eat bacon, threatening to burn Qur'ans, you know, all the usual low IQ theatrics. A few Muslims reacted emotionally, but most of them just mocked them or filmed them back. Then these agitators stormed into City Hall, screamed at the mayor and council, which is made up of both Muslims and Christians alike, demanding that Muslim Americans leave the country. Well, we now know that this entire spectacle was a Zionist psychological operation. And here's the thing: the Dearborn stunt didn't just play out on the streets, it played out in the media as well. In fact, the way the story was covered tells you just as much about the psychological operation as it does the agitators themselves. I was able to see how this information was being weaponized by using ground news, the perfect tool for cutting through this kind of manipulation. I used ground news to research this video, and it revealed to me just how propagandized this entire narrative was. Let me show you. Ground news tracked 40 different articles about these anti-Islam protesters clashing with community activists in Dearborn, and the split was very revealing. 54% of the coverage came from right-wing outlets. Only 23% came from the left. Now, when you compare the headlines side by side, something that ground news makes very easy, the narratives are practically from different planets. A left-leaning outlet, Fight Back News, ran, quote, "Racists converge on Dearborn, protesters and community fight back." Meanwhile, the Daily Wire, owned by Ben Shapiro, framed it as unsettling footage out of Dearborn shows how bad the Islamic takeover really is. Same event, same footage, two completely incompatible realities. And this is what ground news is built to expose. Their features let you see bias, factuality ratings, and even the ownership behind each outlet, which matters a lot when you're dealing with politically motivated propaganda networks. I use ground news because it makes these psychological ops impossible to hide behind selective outrage and algorithmic manipulation. You literally see the information war in real time: who's amplifying what, who's ignoring what, and who benefits from the narrative. And that's why I chose to partner with them, because if you're watching my channel, you're already someone who wants to see behind the veil of power and propaganda. So if you actually want to see through the information war, go to groundnews.com/prop or scan the QR code on the screen. You'll get 40% off the Vantage plan, unlimited access, and it directly supports my work. The link is in the description and the pinned comment. The two loudest clowns at the Dearborn protests were Jake Lang and Cam Higbee. These two clowns are known propagandists that are funded, trained, and amplified by Israel and Zionist networks in America. Jake Lang was exposed as a Jew whose sister actively serves in the Israeli Air Force. He recently visited the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem and pledged his allegiance to the Zionist state.
I am Jewish. Jake, you say anything negative about Israel? I am Jewish. My sister served in the IDF. I was bar mitzvahed on the Wailing Wall in Israel. I am a Jew. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. But I am a Jew, and I love Israel.
Yet he marched into Dearborn pretending to be a Christian crusader, waving a cross like he was resurrecting the Knights Templar.
Pick up your crosses and walk, America! Wake up before the giant of Islam crushes you!
He even tried deleting evidence of his Jewish identity from his X account, but it was archived before he could do so. And Cam Higbee cosplays as a war correspondent. He recently went to the Gaza border in an armored press vest, attempting to help Israel cover up the famine it engineered in Gaza by standing in front of thousands of pallets of food he claimed Hamas was stealing.
Just endless amounts of food. And over that fence, there's more food, just sitting on pallets, going nowhere.
Both Jake Lang and Cam Higbee are stupid, idiot-to-monkey propagandists. Not only did Jake Lang forget to delete posts of him wrapping himself in Jewish electrical tape while pledging allegiance to the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem before carrying out an obvious publicity stunt, but he also got arrested in the chaos of the January 6th protests. Lang has a very troubled past. As a January 6th agitator, Lang served jail time before Trump eventually pardoned him. After the chaos in Dearborn, his former cellmate, J6 protester Tim Hale, revealed that Lang was likely a federal informant and a drug addict. Jake Lang was my cellmate and is a federal informant. Hale then shared interviews with Lang's own father describing his son's years of substance abuse and constant clashes with law enforcement. Hale continued, "He's a plant. His family served in the IDF, Antifa member and BLM rioter years ago. He's a stalker, con artist, and junkie. Not a conservative, not a Trump supporter, didn't vote, tried snitching on Oath Keepers, fraud." And Higbee? Just watch his Fox News interview.
All intentional. It's Hamas's plan. The problem is that their plan is essentially to spread this propaganda throughout the internet by using sorry guys.
All right, let's go to RA's Cam. Get yourself together there, my friend.
The launching of missiles from densely populated urban areas like the Gaza Strip, it essentially, they want people to see what is happening. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Ari, I want to get to this politically.
These guys are low IQ grifters that will do anything for media attention. But what do these two sad little operatives reveal about Israel's collapsing propaganda machine? Well, a couple of months ago, there was a leaked Israeli government study that revealed something incredible. Israel's reputation in the West is destroyed and beyond repair. The Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs teamed up with a well-known political pollster, the Jewish Zionist Mark Penn, who helped get the founder of the Likud party, Menachem Begin, elected in Israel. They worked with Mark Penn to figure out a way to repair Israel's image. Their conclusion, however, was that it cannot be fixed. Americans and Europeans now see Israel negatively. Even worse for the Zionists, they see Palestinians as human beings deserving of empathy. So the strategists pivoted to an age-old Zionist tactic. If Israel's image can't be protected, maybe they can redirect hatred towards Muslims. The study found that the West still fears Islam just as much, if not more, than Israel. And Zionists realized they could weaponize that fear again. This inspired Israel to increase its propaganda budget for 2025 by $150 million. And the other day, Netanyahu bragged in front of the Knesset that Israel was spending over $500 million on propaganda.
אנחנו נלחמים באנטישמיות הזאת בכל העולם. העברנו עכשיו, רק עכשיו, למעלה מ2 מיליארד שקל למשרד החוץ. כדי להילחם בתעמולה הזאת, אני מאמין שצריך להילחם בה בשיטות חדשות.
We also know that the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs hired an American firm, Bridges Partners, to pay influencers up to $7,000 per pro-Israel post via the Esther Project, which was aimed at shaping public opinion. After both the funding and the message was established, Netanyahu held a private meeting with Zionist influencers to discuss the new propaganda program. Present at the meeting, of course, was none other than Cam Higbee. During the meeting, Netanyahu called the information war the Eighth Front. He also said this.
We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. We have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged.
The weapon, of course, is Islamophobia. Netanyahu's also quoted as having told the influencers, if you lead, you will have followers. This is very interesting because just 2 weeks prior to this influencer meeting, a Democratic PR firm, SKDK, was exposed for a $600,000 program that included an army of bots to boost Israeli propaganda. The parent company of SKDK is Stagwell Global, which is owned by none other than Mark Penn, the Jewish Zionist who helped put together the research for the Islamophobia program. So to recap, throughout 2025, Israel has been repositioning itself for a new fight in the information war. During this time, their agents purchased TikTok and CBS and are now aiming for an aggressive takeover of Warner Brothers. They conducted their research and determined their new message, which is Islam is worse than Israel. They secured their propaganda budget, their influencers, PR firms, bot programs, and agent provocateurs. So it shouldn't be a surprise that anti-Muslim incidents erupted all across the country. Dearborn wasn't organic. The harassment of Muslim students praying in Texas, Tampa, and Daytona wasn't organic.
Mocking your religion because you're bowing towards a stupid pedophile's grave.
The designation of CARE, the largest Muslim civil rights organization in America, as a terrorist organization by both Texas and Florida wasn't random. It is all deliberate, it is all funded, it is all manufactured. It is all meant to redirect hatred away from Israel's genocide and back toward the West's old reliable hatred, Islamophobia. But this tactic isn't new. In the 2010s, the Islamophobia Network report exposed that between 2001 and 2012, over $57 million was spent spreading Islamophobia in the United States. The majority of those organizations, donors, and activists are Zionist Jews. Let's take a look at the data. The Rosenwald Fund gave $5 million, Zionist Jews. The Fairbrook Foundation, $2 million, Zionist Jews. Russell Berry Foundation, $4 million, Zionist Jews. Newton and Rochelle Becker, $1.5 million, Zionist Jews. Allen and Hope Winters, $1 million, Zionist Jews. Now I know what you're thinking. These Zionist Jewish orgs do not make up the majority of the funding in this report, but then you dig just a teeny tiny bit. And what you find is that the organizations that gave the most money may not be founded or run by Zionist Jews, but their members include Jewish Zionists, their donors include Jewish Zionists, and the $40 million they gave went to Zionist Jewish organizations that are at the forefront of spreading Islamophobia. For example, the president of the Donors Capital Fund is Lawson Bader, a Jewish Zionist. In 2008, the Donors Capital Fund gave $17 million to the Clarion Project to produce an Islamophobic film called Obsession. The film is incredibly racist propaganda. This film was then mailed directly to the homes of 28 million Americans in the form of DVDs during the 2008 elections. 28 million Americans were subjected to Zionist Islamophobic propaganda because of one single source donor. It is believed that this single source for the $17 million donation was Jewish Zionist billionaire Barry Seed. It is alleged that he gave the Donors Capital Fund the $17 million so that they could then give it to the Clarion Project so that they could spread the Islamophobia film and he could wipe his hands clean. And by the way, the Clarion Project was founded by the Zionist Jewish rabbi Raphael Shor. The people giving the money are overwhelmingly Zionist Jews. The people receiving the money are overwhelmingly Zionist Jews. Figures like Daniel Pipes, David Horowitz, David Yerushalmi, and Stephen Emerson. Now, in the last few minutes, I've said the word Zionist Jews maybe a dozen times. I don't think I've ever said it this many times in such a short span. But that's because you cannot talk about the Islamophobia network without mentioning Zionist Jews. This network is at its core Israel First Zionist Jews funneling money to other Zionist Jews to produce, spread, and amplify Islamophobic rhetoric in the United States, all to deflect attention away from Israel and Zionism. Now, mind you, this report is 14 years old. Since then, the network has expanded, the funding has exploded, and the influencers have gotten younger and even more aggressively Israel First than ever before. What this reveals is that Islamophobia in America, at least the levels that we are currently seeing, is not organic. It is mainly instigated by Zionist political networks and operatives, many of whom cosplaying as Christians, all to manufacture hatred towards Muslims and protect the Zionist influence and power structure that shields Israel's colonial apartheid project. And this is only just the beginning. You can expect more provocations, more false flags, more random attacks, more suspicious assassinations, and far more desperation from the Zionist establishment. If the polls continue to collapse against them, the Islamophobia campaign will escalate. These false flags will intensify. Zionist Jewish Mossad agent Laura Loomer practically telegraphs this strategy every other week on X. So what can you do? Well, you can educate yourself, tell a friend, especially a Christian American. Don't fall for the divide and conquer tactics, and above all, do not be provoked. If you found this video valuable, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Is there anything that I'm missing? And don't forget to use my link for the sponsor of this video, groundnews.com/prop, to save 40% off the Vantage plan so you can cut through the propaganda. Until next time, see you in the next one.
Trust nothing.